Hey, there we are.
So, thanks for inviting me on. I am going to drink Darkness Takes Flight.
Oh, yes. Love to see what
From,
you think of this.
who is this from? Brutal underscore mash
Brutal mash.
brewing.
That would
Brutal
be me.
mash gluten-free brewing. This is yours. You sent this to me as a sample.
Yes.
And I have
And that's
to
a
open
recipe
this.
that you and I came up with, or I think it was mostly you.
I don't know. I think it was a group effort. I had to pull out my bottle opener because it's actually been a while since I've used a bottle opener because we went to Cannes about a year ago. So, yeah. So, okay. So this is Darkness Takes Flight, which I think also this is a kit, right? Can't you buy this as a kit on your website?
No, not yet.
No. But you published this recipe, right?
Yes. Yeah. That one's published, I believe, on Beersmith under
Okay.
Gluten-Free Beer Brian.
Follow you for more recipes, right?
Yes. Follow me for recipes, dude.
So this is the first time I've had this beer.
My bottle opener.
Nice.
And those who know about me outside of the, gluten-free and beer world, I'm an X-ray and CT tech, so of course things that are skeleton-like are my thing.
What are you drinking next?
This is, I'll show you this egg. It's a reused bottle. It's the 100% caramel 10 millet beer.
Yeah. Okay. Let me get this close to the microphone here. Oh, nice crack. Beautiful color. It's a homebrew beer, so I got to watch the end here. Not bad. There is an ever so slight bit of stuff at the bottom, but really like totally acceptable. Like actually really good. And let's see, nice little ring. Okay. Been a while since I've done a clean tasting of the beer. Most of the time it's like 1 ounce for research purposes.
Right.
And then you dump the rest. Nice caramel note up front. Not super aromatic. Might need to warm up a bit in order to be more aromatic.
Yeah, and that beer is, it's several months ago that I brewed it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
That's
a little the aroma may have fallen off.
Within 3 months though, right?
Maybe longer?
Yeah. Nice.
I know Bob tasted it a little while ago. I lose track of time.
Uh-huh.
I barely know what day of the week it is, let alone the month.
Oh, that's got like 2 flavors that hit you right up front and then back off significantly. So there's a little bit of a caramel that's flavor 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then flavor 1 is like really intense, like raspberry gummy bears. Green strawberry gummy bears. Did you know that green gummy bears are actually strawberry flavored?
What?
Yeah.
Why green?
Green leaves. I don't eat them anymore because they say now that they may contain wheat starch, so I don't eat those ones anymore. It's been too long since I've had one. I like this beer, man. This is good.
Thank you.
Very, very approachable, very crushable, as Bob would say. I hope you're not offended by this. I actually think that lagers are really good when they don't get in the way of other things and when they're essentially when they're inoffensive. Like you want to have a lager and something, not just that one thing. So Yeah. What are you're drinking the C10. How's that one?
Yeah, it's very sweet. This is one where it's the C10 millet from Skagit Valley, and I went into this beer not knowing, or the brew day, not knowing the PPG.
Hmm.
And so you and I kind of guesstimated, and we guesstimated way low.
Yeah, we
So I
were really
ended up
wrong.
with, yeah, way wrong. And so I
It
ended up
happens.
at, my target was like 1040, 1045. I ended up at like 1060 or 1065.
That's just more
So it's
alcohol,
a
right?
lot more alcohol than I, planned on.
It's a
Um,
bargain.
right? It's a bargain. I mean, duh. It could use a little more hops or, just
Yeah.
less malt. I would next time I would just back off on the malt, to hit the target
Yeah.
and probably up the hops a little. Now, you gave me a really nice mash technique for this that you've used. Do you want to describe that?
Yeah, you're talking about the only one that I use glucoamalyse on? Is that the one?
Yes.
Yeah, so I don't use glucoamalyse here in the brewery with the exception of when I know that I'm going to use a malt that I expect to end really high. So a low attenuation, high final gravity. So like if
Right.
I'm expecting something to end at 1015 or higher, what I want to do with that is I want to, if I want a more standard, 1012 to 1015 instead of
Right.
like 1020 or 1030, what I will do is I'll use a little bit of glucoamylase in the most controlled way possible. So I don't do this on my large system. It works well on my small system. It works well on anything that you can lift and dump the portion of beer that you're
Right.
going to do this with.
So,
So
homebrew
what you
scale,
do,
it works wonderfully.
homebrew scale, pilot scale, anything up to about 5, 6, 7, 8 gallons of running, something like that. So what I do
Right.
is I take the first third of the runnings that I collect from the lauder. When I come out of the mash tun and go into the boil kettle, I collect the
Right.
first third of the runnings, of the volume of the runnings, and I set them aside in a bucket, and then I collect the other 2/3 of the runnings in the boil kettle, and I start the ramp to boil with that 2/3 of the runnings.
I pulled 2 gallons, set that
Mm-hmm.
aside, and then went to boil with 4 gallons. I will boil 6 gallons. I boil off half a gallon. That gives me, 5.5 at the end of boil. So I end up with right about 5 in my keg.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so for me, it's somewhere around for the 5 gallon system, 2.5 gallons, something like that. So then I
Right.
start the ramp to boil with the rest of the runnings, the other 2/3 of the runnings, and when I know that I'm 30 minutes away from boil in the main boil kettle, I throw 1 milliliter per pound of the original grain bill of glucoamylase, whether it be Saxime Pro or whatever it is. Throw that
Zyme.
at 10 Uzyme, yeah, any of those. I throw that into that first third of runnings that I collected and let it do its thing for exactly 30 minutes. And then at the end of 30 minutes, I set a timer. At the end of 30 minutes, when the 2/3 of the runnings are at boil, I take that first third and I dump into the boil kettle, and it takes it through the glucoamylase's denaturing point, like immediately, like right away. And that way I can control the exposure time essentially, and I still get a beer that finishes 1012 to 1015 without stripping it all out and getting like a 1002 beer, or
Right.
without having a 1018 to 1030 beer. I've had a 1030 beer before. It tasted really good. It didn't have much
Like,
alcohol in it.
yeah. I had a stout that happened with it. Tasted great,
Yeah.
but it was like, 4% or something, and it started at like 1085. So this one, and I'm trying to hold it up so people can see just how clear this beer actually is. I mean, it's very dark, crystal clear. It finished at 1010.
That's great. I mean, what I would say, I think I told you this at the time, you really need to run that mash again without the glucoamalyse and with the Andia and the
and the
Ceramix and the. Do you use Termemel?
Yeah, usually.
Yeah. You should run it again and see what it attenuates to. Because it's possible that, I mean, with as much PPG as you got out of that, it's possible that C10 doesn't act like a traditional caramel.
Could be.
It's very possible.
It's got a great malty note. Some beers I use like 1 to 2 pounds of the C10, especially if I pair that up with the caramel oats I use.
Yeah.
It gives a wonderful, just light malty note. You don't get a lot of color out of it, but you do get a little more of that malt character. All right. Well, it's been fun.
Yeah. Thanks for inviting.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for coming on, and thank you for all the advice and help. So, for everyone out there, this has been, JP from Bierly Brewing. He's a dedicated gluten-free brewer out in Oregon. If you're from Michigan, you say Oregon because, we say O's as O's.
You say O's as A's? Ah?
No, O's and O's. Oregon. Dayod. All right. Well,
and this has been Gluten-Free Beer Brian from Michigan.
Michigan. All right. Cheers, JP.
All right. Prost.
Prost.